Secret friends, unite!
Welcome to the Secret Friends Unite podcast 431. This is your guide to the geek side, and I'm one of your hosts, Todd Oxtra, joined by my cohort, Charlie Carden.
Hey, I love recording this time of night because then I get to show off the real collection, everything in the figure world. So if you're watching on YouTube, enjoy. It's all here to be seen.
Yeah, and you can see the aluminum foil on Charlie's window. So
yes.
He looks like, because he's trying to keep in the ghoulies, and I guess keep out the control rays.
I don't want him in my thoughts. Can't have him doing that. Not happening.
Yep, and he doesn't put any lampshades on his lamps because you know what?
Absolutely not.
It sets that crack heroin. Chic.
That is, you put a lampshade on a lamp. That's a broadcast to Uncle Sucker. It's not happening.
And we are joined by a good friend of the show, and I am trying to remember if you two have been on together.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like we have.
I couldn't remember because sometimes, Charlie, you're out and bring guests on and things, but that's great. Mr. Chris from, he's one of the co-hosts of 1H1D or 1 Hour 1 Decision. It's a great show. Basically, they randomly pick an Xbox game. They've got 1 hour to play it and then make a decision based on it. And also a fine, you have one of the best swags in all the land. You have that game guide, a physical, Charlie, he makes a physical diary where you take notes about a game you play and the things you liked. I think that's such a cool idea.
It sounds like the Grail Diary from Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade. Let he who illuminate this illuminate me.
Yes, exactly like it, right, Chris? Thank you for being on.
Yeah, good to see you. Yes, we have some fun things to address, but not, of course, before we give the usual patronage till we play honor to the great folks that support us over on Patreon. We have a wonderful time making all the additional content as we have since January because of these fine folks. I'm talking about, of course, Jamie Prinky over on the Best Buds level, the fantastic Nias family, Sean, Stella, and Henry over on the BFFs family level, along with, of course, my friend and yours and fellow contributor, Missy Merchant, and her great friend, Andy Milliken. The great news about Patreon right now, they just a couple of weeks ago made it possible for you to do a free 1-week trial of any Patreon offering. We made it available on all of our levels. So jump on over to patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite and check us out. We do a lot of fun programs. Todd, you're launching a new program soon, which I'm excited to hear that from you. Mark jumps in. Mark, who's our third partner, jumps in and does his Canardians Corner from time to time. Todd and I do a great show called The Spinner Rack, where we talk about comics. And I have a bi-weekly show called The Facts of Geek Life, where we dissect 4 or 5 episodes of a classic television series in a single season. And then just today, Todd joined us for a quarterly recording that I do with my wife, April, called A Bad Trip to the Movies with the Cardens. And we covered Wing Commander, which was a movie we had never seen, but Todd put himself through back in 1999 just so he could see the trailer for The Phantom Menace. And we had a good time. We had a good time talking about that movie.
Yeah, Chris, it's based on the video game, so you know it's got to be great. Back in 1999, they were putting out great video game movies. So Charlie and I this is our third recording in one day, which is I think a record for the two of us.
Yes, indeed.
So yeah, check it out there. We did a great recording of the Spinner Rack, all about the character of Nick Fury, because Secret Invasion is coming in. So if you'd like to know a little bit more about Nick Fury in comics and the various incarnations and years that he's been around, check that out. And Chris, as a parting gift today, as a guest, you're getting a 1-week free trial.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yes, indeed. That's awesome. Please, and spread the word. Listen, Mr. Promotion here. Well, something that before we get to that, we definitely do need to talk about, and I remarked this to April before we came down here because I was going over the flow. I said, Extra has a gift for whatever shortcomings he might have. He has a gift for picking these covers. Now, we're going back to 1976, the year of my birth. I was born in February. This came out in May. Marvel premiere, which honestly, Todd, this was one of the Nick Fury issue. It was issue 35 was the Nick Fury one. This was issue 31, so it was a couple of months earlier. But this is Marvel premiere featuring the man brute called Wood God. And I got to... what else can you say? I love this as a Stanley. The House of Ideas does it again. All out action in the mighty Marvel manner. I want that on my tombstone. I don't know about you. Somebody make a note of it.
Charlie's death in the mighty Marvel manner.
Yes. Oh my God. But Wood God is essentially, I don't know if I read about him in the, in the Marvel, the Marvel Universe guidebook, which was a big favorite of mine when I was a kid. But yeah, naturally the caption below that says the most bizarre superhero of all. You must read A Birthday Nightmare.
This is like a menu of madness of just let's throw 85 things on the cover. You've got Wood God taking down. I don't know if that's
he's
AIM
wrestling
or who
like
it is.
Yeah, no, like that's AIM, right? No. AIM was yellow in there. They had like the beekeeper helmets. Right. So this is something totally unquantified, but they're flying like VTO, like vertical takeoff and landing, like skiffs. They kind of look like
a two-seater that's external, so it's like a right.
But it looks like, I mean, there's a house in the background, so it looks like it's maybe just in a subdivision somewhere. I mean, it's super random. Kind of, I get like a Jack Kirby vibe from the cover. But
it is drama.
The writing, the exposition, 100% sounds like this is what Stan Lee put on everything, because everything was the House of Ideas done it again, all out action in the mighty Marvel manner. And then the bizarre superhero, I mean, that he would apply that to whomever. So this is a gem. Now, Todd, do we know if this is over on MU, Marvel Unlimited?
It is not, and I believe it's his
own.
Yeah, I mean, there's more to him if you want to read it. Basically, he was just a genetic creation, not tied to like any other character we've heard of. It's just like a one-off. Very weird. They wanted to make... It's kind of like the High Evolutionary, but not as cool. So I don't know, Chris. You see this cover, and do you ever wonder why Wood God didn't make it?
Well, look, it's the cover is drawn by Jack Kirby, so it's always great to see Kirby do his thing. But it is like, I mean, he looks like just a generic satyr, or is that the
satyr? Yeah.
That's somebody who's half goat with the
like Mr. Tumnus from
Mr. Tumnus. I was thinking of the goat leggings from the Dragnet film, like Dan Aykroyd and Tom Hanks. Yeah. Sir, you forgot your goat leggings.
It's really just a guy with a bad case of hair. I mean, really, the hair grows in odd places. But mostly his legs.
Oh my God. Anyway, well, cool. Well, with that, speaking of unusual hair growth that you don't want to know more about, it's time to check in with our senior news correspondent. I'm talking about Madam Webb. At 123 years young, she is still down at the corner of Hollywood and Vine with the hottest scoops for us in Madam Webb's news and reviews. Let's go.
Now it's time for Madam Webb's rumors and news. Take it away, boys.
Thank you, Madam Webb. Looking at Wood God, that cover, Madam Webb, takes me back to remember when you telling me you were an agent in Hollywood back in the day. And
way back.
Wood God actually came to you and said he's going to be the next big thing. And you believed him. You booked hard on his life. I mean, you abandoned all your other clients like Frank Sinatra, Sylvester Stallone, and John Travolta. And unfortunately, didn't work out. So sorry, Madam Webb.
Okay.
I'm assuming Wood God, he's got those ads for what Tux medicated pads and
roll the dice. Yeah, exactly. Big adult diapers. Absolutely. So, all right, what do we got up first? So we're going to be talking about The Flash this week, but director of The Flash is Andy. Same guy, right?
Muschietti.
Yes. But he's looking at a first look deal with Warner Brothers on Batman the Brave and the Bold. This is going to be the first kind of Batman. Is this going to be kind of the first Batman outing for Warner Brothers under the new regime? Is that kind of what we're looking at?
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. So, co-boss is James Gunn and Peter Safran. I keep forgetting about Peter Safran because he's just not a name. So it's like I'm talking about it and I think, oh, James Gunn and that other guy,
Silent partner.
Silent partner. Exactly. So kind of creative genius. So, yeah. So they're getting out there and they're making their deals. And he is somebody who's in the running to tackle Batman. So, Todd, what else has Muschietti done in the past that I would know about?
Well, Charlie, you would know him most famously from the It movies. So,
absolutely.
1 and It 2, and he is also working on the prequel series Welcome to Derry for HBO. He actually partners with his sister, who is actually a producer as well.
Nice.
And Warner Brothers back in the day they used to get really tight with certain talent, like directors. Yeah. So it was like Christopher Nolan and Warner Brothers were tight as thieves. They were always in things. And when we had some of the issues with WB dropping things because of the merger, it kind of put people on the wrong page. So this is, I think, this is their way to essentially cement some relationships and work with the people they like. And James Gunn is one to build relationships with people, and he's very tight. That's why you see the same people in his movies over and over. They love him. They have great. So it's kind of cool that they have faith, despite whatever the Flash will do. I think the fact that we know when the Flash was made, it was made under very crazy times. A really bizarre story about the star of that movie. And the fact is that he's been looked upon as kind of righting the ship, and he comes from horror to then do a superhero movie. That's kind of cool. So I like the fact that this could happen, and the fact that I think he's done a superhero film and he's directed 2 Bats, because there were 2 Batmen in The Flash. If you didn't know that, there is. And that's true. That's true.
So many bad dudes, multiple.
So
bad
the fact that he could do that and do something new with that's the movie that will be Bruce Wayne and Damian as Robin.
Right.
It's based on a comic book, so that's maybe one we read in the future too, Charlie. So Chris,
I'd be down.
With that, the Batman that we've gotten, they really haven't had the Batman family. So this would really truly be, except for Batman Forever, which mixed bag. It's the best way to put it. What do you think? Is that a good show? Is that a good thing to do with Batman?
The Bat family? Yeah. I mean, they've shied away a lot from the Robins plural and the Nightwings and stuff like that. I granted there's the Titans show, which I think just wrapped up completely.
I just finished it.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Enjoyed it muchly.
Got to get back to that one. Yeah.
Yeah. I need to get back into it as well. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm a big Batman fan, so like to be able to see more than just Bruce Wayne doing his thing.
Yeah,
see the folks that help him, because it takes a family to run and save Gotham.
It takes a Bat village.
Well, it does. Ask Vin Diesel. What's the most important thing? Family.
It's family. It's always family.
It's always family.
So yeah, I'm excited.
Better believe it.
Family, cars, and Batman already has the car area.
Oh my God. We were just upstairs watching. We're on Mission Impossible 5 right now, which I'm going to talk about in the Geek Easy. But there is a great car chase segment in Spain, and April and I were like, they nailed it over doing car chase stuff, because at least it looks real. It's not Vin Diesel running into a pinball or whatever, which was the first act of that movie that came out that we talked about a few weeks ago. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, cars are cool, like a gun. You can put like Homer did with this
ping pong.
An weapon and just
keep smacking it.
Using the car.
Totally
exactly. Fine. Yeah. So you know what? We don't know when this is actually going to happen, because we know the first movie that's coming out of the DC relaunch of the Gods and Monsters is going to be Superman Legacy, which Gunn is going to be writing and directing.
Nice.
So that one's probably, I think, 2025. I know we're going to get a gap with DC where essentially Aquaman will be the last DC movie, and I can't remember when Joker for la
early next year. I don't know. Is that one in the can? Because if it's not, it's
I believe it already is. Remember they were filming it with Lady Gaga and
Lady Gaga. Yes, indeed.
Lady Gaga is Harley Quinn.
Oh my goodness. Oh man,
absolutely. Yep.
Crazy. All right, what else we got?
Yeah, so next story is all about me. I just put this in there for myself and Larry Giver because I think we're the only people that really are fans of Babylon 5 that are 105 years old and, can overlook the good and the bad of that series.
Fair.
And we do know J. Michael Straczynski is trying to get essentially a reboot of Babylon 5, which I think is cool. Why not? It's a great story. It needs better production and better acting and directing, I think. If they get those things, because I thought the writing was great. It was
minor things you got to handle.
It's like all these things and it'll be perfect. It's like
so just like so close.
I mean, it was a syndicated show, cheap budget. They did the best they could at the time, right? Especially after going after like Star Trek. We talked about this before, but this is really about Babylon 5. I think them trying to establish some things I think this first thing that they've got coming out is an animated movie. Essentially, it's going to be on DVD, Blu-ray, and streaming. I believe it's WB, so it might come to Max, which would be great. Nice. But it's essentially an animated 90-minute film where it is essentially tied to the continuity. It's a one-off story. They've done this before. They did a thing called Lost Tales. They did other like standalone movies, kind of like, so just to get more content out there and tell a bigger story. I don't know if they ever got a bigger budget to do, but I still enjoyed them. I thought because they covered a lot of different areas that weren't tied into like the main storyline. Well, this one, I'll just give you the synopsis. It features Sheridan, who was essentially the first. He was the second captain. Basically that came in ahead of Babylon 5. So that's the one, Bruce Boxleitner, including he gets whipsawed through multiple timelines and alternate realities, including one where Babylon 5 lost the Shadow War. Also includes Zathras. He's kind of like this guy the best way to put it, he is a guy that could kind of tell the future, but he was so vague and weird that you could never take what he said for just for at face value. And
vague and weird
because I think he was kind of touched in the skull too. So it wasn't his fault, but he was kind of an interesting looking dude. You saw him in the trailer. And basically Zathras is there because he's actually a temporal engineer. So that's kind of flayed his brain in a lot of ways. And then we're getting cast members, including Bruce Boxleitner, Claudia Christian, which she notoriously was removed from the show or quit the show, and they brought in Tracy Scoggins, which I thought was funny. It was a replacement.
Wow, so it was like a Dick Van Patten to Dick Sargent, right? The Dick transplant.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you, Charlie. Well, the fact is she's coming back for the first time in Babylon 5. So this is going to make a lot of fans very happy. Peter Jurassic, you may know him from, he's been on a lot of shows from the past, but he plays Londo, one of the original cast members. Bill Mummy, you know him from Lost in Space. He plays Lanier. Tracy Scoggins, who essentially replaced Claudia Christian. She's going to be back. And Patricia Tallman, who played a telepath.
Both,
we don't have any...
Both Patricia Tallman and believe it or not, Bill Mummy. Patricia Tallman was recurring guest cast on Star Trek TNG. Bill Mummy came in as an engineer who got fought in the Dominion War and befriended Ezri Dex, whose season says in DS9, and he did not make it. It was very tragic. It was a war episode, yeah.
Yeah, and that's going to be the biggest problem with the show. Has lost so many of the cast members. They died, which is sad. But they're all great. We had basically Delenn, who was the love interest. So they're going to have new voice actors play them, which is fine.
Right.
Jakar, he was great. Andreas
Kasoulis, who was a great Romulan in TNG. Yeah,
great actor, really great. Just an iconic voice. Chief Garibaldi, Dr. Franklin, Zathras, and then the original commander, Jeffrey Sinclair as well. This will be $20 on Amazon and Vudu if you want to buy it digitally. You can also get the Blu-ray if you're a collector, and it'll be on August 14th as well.
Awesome.
It's an hour and 20 minutes long, so that's pretty standard fare for an animated thing.
Good.
So I think the animation style works. It's not the best. It's not the worst. It does look good. It kind of reminds me of the What If series, Charlie.
Yeah. Cool. Love it. Well, good. And again, I've had people, Larry included, and then I actually have a client of mine who have just kind of chased me around about Babylon 5 over the years. April and I ended up watching an episode. It did not grab us, but you know what? IDIC, infinite diversity and infinite combinations. That is the credo of Star Trek. Love what you love. Don't yuck somebody else's yum. Don't pee in somebody else's Cheerios. Not happening.
Yeah,
so
Chris,
go out there and enjoy it.
Do you have any history?
Unfortunately, with Babylon 5 and Star Trek, I'm not well versed in any of those series, but like, I'm excited that you're excited. So that's
good answer. Very good answer.
I'm excited you like that crap.
I mean,
tee it up.
The trailer looked interesting. I mean, I don't know if they're following suit with all these like multiversal things that are happening. They're like, hey, here's a good idea to create another story about that. So I don't know, but it could be fun. I'm sure it'll be fun for you. Yeah.
I hope it's good. Right. That's it. And I hope this leads to, if people, it finds maybe new fans that then watch the series, and hopefully they can give it its time and patience. Then maybe we'll get something new. So there you go.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of time and patience, get ready to have a lot of patience with literally anything in the entertainment world. So stretch. Yeah, there is the WGA strike going on right now. And as we've said on the past several episodes, we here at Secret Friends Unite across our network are deeply in support of the folks who are striking to make their living wage, being in part of the entertainment industry. So as long as this goes on, if it means we don't have new content next year, that works for me. That's okay. These people need to be able to put food on the table, pay their bills, and feed their families, and that is really all that it's at. But that being said, the good folks at Disney, who are not helping the situation clearly, have announced delays to things like Star Wars, Deadpool 3, the entire MCU slate, and oh boy, this last one really breaks my heart, delays to the Avatar sequel.
It's another 20 years until they get on with the series.
Okay. In the time, if James Cameron kicks off, I mean, is that just basically it?
Ooh.
I mean, he's got to be.
He's never dying, Charlie. That man will live forever.
He 100% has to be in his late 60s.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. Yeah. He's not a young man.
He's been making movies since Piranha 3D came out in like 78. I mean,
oh boy, yeah. So I mean, if you figure he's the age of our parents, he's in his 70s. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. He looks pretty good though. He's a pretty healthy guy.
Yeah, doesn't look, but no, it's all that money and arrogance that's keeping him alive. I'm not a fan. Sorry, I'm not a fan of his.
Born in 1954, so he is about 9 years younger than my mom.
Yeah, he's between 5 and 6 years younger than my parents. So yeah, absolutely.
So mid-60s. Yeah.
But anyways, so the highlights of the delays: live action Moana, and again, Disney catch a hint with this live action shit. It's just not gonna fly. Will now be released in 2025. Deadpool 3 has been pushed up from November to May of 2024. An untitled Star Wars movie is debuting in December of 2026, Avatar 3, 2025, Avatar 4, 2029, and Avatar 5, 2031. It's funny because I'm such a nudnik with the calendars for Code 47, which is the Star Trek show that I run on our network.
You're also planned out to 31 too, aren't you?
I do have a schedule out to 31. That's absolutely the truth. Because after a certain point, we're gonna reach talking about all the shows to the end. I'm gonna break. And
do Google calendars go out that far?
I did it in a spreadsheet. But yeah, as we get numbers. We're going to start with whomever I'm recording with. We're going to start over again. We're actually going to start over again with TOS. So, but that'll be about
because everybody's forgotten it all because of Alzheimer's.
Well, if you figure out people don't go back and listen to them, but again, with that show, I've had a shift in co-host, so fresh perspective. I like that. But anyway, back on this. So big shuffling. Yeah, Captain America: Brave New World. Pushed from May to July of next year. That's the next big one that I'm excited about. Thunderbolts in December of next year, Blade in February of 2025, and Fantastic Four in May of 2025. But again, this will continue to get pushed out if there's nobody to write these scripts. And with the writers also going on strike, I believe that it is either imminent or it's already gone. It's already happened. I feel like I haven't heard a lot about it. Nobody's doing anything. Yeah, like you said last week, Todd, it's going to be craft services trying to write and star in the movies. And I just don't know how that's going to work out.
They're gonna dust off old scripts from like Fox Studios from like those failed Marvel projects where X-Men and Fantastic Four crossover crossover with Deadpool. There's a movie.
Yeah. Oh, let's bring back Ben Affleck as Deadpool. Oh, we can't get him. Well, we still have the script, so let's cast some.
Ben Affleck as Deadpool.
Let's pass.
Daredevil?
Daredevil.
Yes.
We'll make Bill the janitor Daredevil. Let's see if we can make that happen. So.
Hey, I mean, what's his name? Wasn't he a janitor? Harrison Ford.
He was
Carpenter. Yeah, Carpenter.
He was Carpenter. Oh,
yeah, you're thinking of a janitor that was Goodwill Hunting. He was the janitor.
Yes, the janitor with the heart of gold and a brain to do calculus. Thinking about these Marvel titles, because then we do have Avengers King Dynasty, then 2026, and then Avengers Secret War to 2027. I mean, at this point, if we think about this, and we haven't even talked about the TV shows with Marvel, they're so connected. I'm like, I don't even know, like, how do they juggle that? How do they figure out, well, if this moves, then we can't do this because we wrote this. I'm like,
got to.
I don't know how you can even do that purposefully in a great way and really still be successful, because we don't know the TV outcome. And I know they were talking about reducing the number of TV shows per year too. So I don't know. Well,
the good news is they've reduced it a lot, because now nothing is getting made. So that is a 100% workforce reduction. Great work, guys. But again, in all seriousness, our hearts and our souls go out to the folks affected by this WGA strike, and then the impending SAG-AFTRA strike for the actors as well. Because again, these folks 100%, they're artists who deserve to be compensated for their craft. Yep. And there's, I am very happy to sit 2024 out. Even on this show, Todd, we're going to make you have to go back and start rewatching things so we have something to talk about, or we'll have to dig into that treasure trove of stuff we haven't watched.
So I write the flow. But I'm not a union guild member, so does that make me a scab, writing a document?
Well, I don't know. Yeah, if there's a podcasters union, we're not part of it, because why the hell? They're not giving us any money, so we're not giving them any money.
Well, who do we get money from, Charlie? Are we gonna yell at ourselves we want better wages? Charlie, give me better wages.
I want better hours doing this.
who runs a 1 hour, one decision, Chris? Is that something where you could renegotiate? With yourself, or is it Tom?
Have a hard look in the mirror, and then
I guess that is the absolute tougher critic. So anyway, one more time, our hearts go out to the those struggling with the WGA strike. We here in SFU are 100% in your corner. So anyway, Todd, what's going on over at Netflix right now?
Yeah, Netflix has their big events called Thunderdome, based on their time, the noise you always hear. And you know what? Netflix is trying to remind you why you should stay subscribed to Netflix or come back to Netflix. Right. So this is kind of their big, almost their their trade announcements to get people excited. So I didn't know this happened. This was actually down in Sao Paulo, Brazil, when they did this thing live. Okay. Yeah, wow. Yeah. So the first thing they showed was a 40-minute trailer for Avatar: Last Airbender. It's live action. They've shown cast members, but they didn't show anything except for the different elements in those houses that do it. They basically showed the logo of those, and they had it. So it's basically a tone trailer. Other than that,
Wait,
don't know.
40 minutes?
It's 40 seconds. Sorry. Yes. It's actually a Yule log, right? It's just the element just in the background. You just watch
it. Show the series.
Very, very long.
It was very long. Yes, it was just like I said. It's like the Yule log. You just stare at it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. It's actually It's basically set for 2024. So more time to come. Don't know if this is already done in the can or if it's still on pause because of the writer's strike. Don't know. That'll be most of these things. Then we are getting a beloved anime, Charlie. This is the longest running anime / manga that they do, been going on for 1,000 volumes or something. It's ridiculous. Yeah. And they're finally getting a live action series called One Piece. It's basically about a kid who wants to be a pirate king, wants to travel the seas, find treasure, but he also has the ability to stretch his limbs like Mr. Fantastic, which is very weird.
Who doesn't want to be a limb stretching pirate king? The relatability factor is through the roof. I think everybody wants that, really.
It's very goofy because all the pirates are differently themed and they're kind of goofy, over the top. So this is a very lighthearted thing. And actually, when I saw it, I'm like, this actually looks like a lot of fun. But I bet the hardcore fans are going to hate this because they're like, why didn't they why is it in Japanese?
God. Yeah. You're going to get, it's basically amped up like Star Wars and Star Trek fans. Like, why doesn't it blah, 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 blah.
Charlie, the dubbed or subbed battles throughout time are without par in the world of anime. It's so funny.
Oh my God.
But Chris, so you're familiar with this? What do you think? Did you get to see this or just?
I didn't watch the trailer for this yet, but I saw who they cast and everything. I mean, there was the Cowboy. I don't know why they tried this again because the Cowboy Bebop wasn't well received.
Right. It tanked out. Yeah. It was not successful.
I mean, I guess they already put money in it. They're like, all right, let's just release it and see what happens. But I'll check it out. I unfortunately didn't watch the Cowboy Bebop series, so maybe I'll try that.
I've seen all the anime. I liked the first episode. I didn't watch anymore, but a lot of people didn't like it. I liked the first episode, but my wife she really liked it too. So I thought it was a fun show, and I thought John Chu did a great job in the role.
Yeah.
But, oh well.
Yeah.
Let's see. Next there's this new. It's actually this is kind of cool. There's a new series coming to Netflix called The Three Body Problem. It's by the Game of Thrones creators, David Benioff and D.B. Weiss. They're behind this.
Gotcha. Those
and
guys.
It's an adaptation of a popular sci-fi novels, and it looks very interesting, but it's about essentially an alien invasion. And people since the 60s, some groups that have been preparing for it since the 60s, and some that are so this looks kind of cool. When I saw it, I'm like, that's neat. I'm glad we're going to get another big spectacular, and those guys did a hell of a job with Game of Thrones adapting that.
Yeah, nice.
Except for
good
season
deal.
7 and 8.
Yes, we know that. Yeah, when you run out of source material, which I hope they don't this time, like they have enough books,
right?
Yeah, exactly. We'll see how that goes. That is coming out January 2024. Then we're getting The Witcher season 3. I'm a big fan. That's July 27th. So very soon. And actually it's in 2 parts. So like Stranger Things did. So the first part of that 3rd season is on June 29th. And then the second part, July 27th. This is going to be Henry Cavill's last season. We don't know exactly what happened there, but they're bringing in what is his name?
Chris Hemsworth's brother, Liam.
That's right. Liam Hemsworth. Yes.
Bring me Hemsworth.
Yes. They're going to say he transmogrified, and this is what he looks like.
He's going to. It's like Doctor Who.
Exactly.
There you go. Very nice.
Guy. Yeah, exactly. Like then we got Cobra Kai. They have a season 6 cast reunion, and we don't even know when we're getting the most recent season, but I cannot wait.
Right. Cool.
Yep.
Good deal.
Yep. Squid Game 2 is getting a 2nd season. That was a huge win. New cast, similar type of. I needed to finish that show because I really liked what I saw. I just didn't get to finish it.
I hear you. Yeah, I didn't dig in, but I had people telling me about it and stuff. So without a doubt. Oh, you got Wednesday coming back, big hit. Todd, that's right up your alleyway. I know.
Oh yeah, we love that series. Chris binged it. She watched it without me, and then felt guilty, and then watched it with me. Yeah. Other than that, it's nothing is known. They've got returning cast members. Apparently, this is going to be more horror than like lovey-dovey,
the little CW-ish.
Yeah, this is going to be more horror themed though, which is kind of cool.
Gotcha. And Todd, that Rebel Moon, isn't that Snyder? Isn't it? Isn't that his sci-fi deal?
Yeah, this is Zack Snyder doing what does he want to do. He had what the Army of the Dead on Netflix, which some people liked. I didn't care for it. Then he's doing his own. This was essentially his pitch to George Lucas for a Star Wars film. And apparently didn't go anywhere. And so now he's doing himself. It's a 2-part action epic. And it's going to be coming out December 22nd. I mean, Ray Fisher's in this. He passed away. Damon Honshu, Michael Huisman is in this as well. And other than that, we're just getting behind the look scenes of this. I want to see what like a trailer for this because I really want to see what it looks like. But with Zack Snyder, his stuff typically looks pretty good. It's the actual execution, the script.
His trailers are fantastic. His trailers are good. It's just the actual movie. You're like, wait, what?
He's the teaser.
he fooled me with Sucker Punch. Man, that movie.
Yes.
That was a Wing Commander right there. So, and then Todd, Stranger Things is is this the end of Stranger Things that they're talking about?
I believe this is the final season, and apparently they're talking about making like almost every episode like movie length, which is crazy.
Oh man, very crazy.
The biggest announcement though, Linda Hamilton is joining the cast.
Yes, I did see that. That's fantastic. Linda Hamilton. Did you see the last Terminator film? We rewatched that just when we were in LA. When we were in LA and just killing time before we got on the cruise. I had my Roku with me, so we were in a B&B, and I think we were like, oh, we're killing time. So we watched the last Terminator movie because Terminator is very LA, you know what I mean? Because the movies were set there, and she was great. She was really great. Yeah, really great. And I think Dark Fate was the name of the last movie.
It's in the top 3 Terminator movies.
Wow, of the 97 Terminator movies they've made. Yeah, oh my God. Yeah,
they've made 6, right? 6. I never saw that the one with Christian Bale. I never saw that one, but I heard it wasn't good.
Yeah. Christian Bale and Moon Goodblood and Bryce Dallas Howard were the stars, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and then the others.
I've definitely seen them all. I think Genesis was the one after that, which was about a cell phone that took over and started killing people.
Matt Smith was barely in it.
That was the AI of that one. And then I mean, they really lost me between the third one, which was Nick Stahl and Claire Danes, which I thought was okay. And then
compare it to the rest.
Was that 3?
There was 3. And then if you skipped 4 and 5, and then like I said, I was just talking about Dark Fate, which was with Linda Hamilton and Madison. God, what is her name? Real tall, skinny gal. It's escaping me.
Yes.
In Hollywood? Oh, there's hardly any of
I know.
those.
Exactly. No, I really enjoyed it. So, well, cool. I look forward to seeing her in anything at all. Well, with that, that's the end of the news. Todd, it's time to say goodbye to Madam Webb. Got to get out that Fuber app, that Feeble Uber app. Time to get down to the Geek Easy, down to Scuggsville, Nasty Town, talk about what we're enjoying. So let's go.
Talk nerdy to me. Talk nerdy to me.
Welcome to Geek Easy. Drinks are poured, music's playing, and we are ready to get our nerd on. So, Chris, you got a veritable list of things to talk about. So, give us the
hot takes.
Hot takes on it. Yes,
hot takes.
Yes.
All right. Well, Across the Spider-Verse, it's fantastic. Great movie.
Loved it.
I actually just watched the movie on Hulu called Flamin' Hot, which is based on the story of how that whole
Cheetos,
controversial. Did he do it? Did he not?
Apparently he was a big lie.
Did he not, or did he not do what? Make Cheetos or eat Cheetos or kill somebody over Cheetos?
He worked for them. It's just that he's claiming that he's the one that created Flaming Hot.
That he's Mr. Cheeto. Okay, he's the Cheeto sheriff, as it were.
Right. the Flamin' Hot impresario that set the world on fire. Yeah.
Oh my!
How was it though? I mean, was it?
It wasn't a bad movie. It was like it was okay, and I think this was like Eva Longoria's first directorial debut.
Oh wow! Yeah, okay, awesome.
So it was kind of cool. I've been watching The Family Stallone.
I've got to watch it. Yeah, it's on Paramount Plus. I loved him in Tulsa King was great because my wife and I love Taylor Sheridan, and Todd will chuckle because that is Yellowstone and it's 1883 and it's 1923 and he's on a roll. So he got Stallone for his most recent. Yeah, the Tulsa King, it was him. It's Martin Starr, and it's about he ends up in Tulsa and takes over basically a dispensary. It's awesome.
Yep,
it's so good. And his daughter's in Tulsa King too. So.
Oh, I didn't even realize. Yeah, she's the barista that becomes gotcha,
the horse. Yeah.
Cool.
Whatever. Anyway, but yeah, it was. Anyway. The Family Stallone is interesting because you see him interact with Robert De Niro, Sylvester Stallone, and his brother. It's fun.
Yeah.
Cool. And
does Frank Stallone come on? Is it Frank Stallone there?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Take it back. Take it back.
All this craziness.
How do you get my song in your movie?
I've been told by.
Okay.
Dude, I could keep going. Moody girl.
I'm impressed.
Those are songs?
Thank you. That's a song from the soundtrack of Staying Alive. Look it up.
Yeah, love it. So is it fun though? Is it like is it lighthearted reality show? It's not like Drinks and Faces or anything like that?
No. It's not like that. I mean, like you see like maybe a different side of Stallone that I grew up with, and like almost like a softer side of it. But then I didn't I did research after the fact about like he did have other kids, but like I guess one of them passed away, and one has like
he had it was the kid who played his son in Rocky V. I think yeah.
So I mean, but he's trying to make it a concerted effort. And the other interesting part was, with Family Stallone, there like the interesting part was the fact that his wife actually filed for divorce, and during the recording or filming of this, so I was kind of curious. I was like, oh, go on, but it's still not, the whole season's not out yet. It's an ongoing weekly series.
Yeah.
The chance that you will see him on screen get served papers?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's too real. Well, I'll have to tune in because again, being a very avid Paramount Plus to me is the best deal out there. But it's attenuated to my viewing habits. But I keep seeing promos for this obviously whenever I turn it on. So yeah, I'm down. I really would like to, and I've always loved him. Being an icon of our youth. So I'm totally down. I would love to see. So is this a 10 episode deal, and is it like most of the way through it? So.
Yeah, it's I think 6 episodes have been released so far.
Cool.
So yeah,
cool.
Ooh, there'll be a cliffhanger.
Maybe
because he's in cliffhanger.
Oh
my god! You did it, Todd.
That was bold.
You did it. I did it.
That was a bold choice.
Where's the confetti that comes from the ceiling? Or something? Yes.
Oh my goodness!
Add that in post.
Yes, I will.
Good deal.
Yes.
All right.
But Chris, last thing.
Oh well, I mean, just real quickly, I tried to. I've heard so many people tell me to try The Expanse.
I know, right? Todd has been up my butt for that for about 5 years, and I'm sorry. I'm not giving it up.
I couldn't get into it.
Charlie,
I watched
after Ted
episodes.
Lasso, Charlie, you cannot trust yourself.
right. So yeah, because Chris, just to bring it up to speed, my wife and I we watched the first couple of episodes of Ted Lasso a year or so ago, and we were like, eh. And then I got Mark and I got Todd just sideways up my butt. Oh my God, it's the greatest show that's ever been invaded, blah, 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 this thing and that thing. And I was like, fine. We tuned in after the third and final season started, absolutely fell in love with it. Blasted through the episodes, got caught up with 3 or 4 episodes left that we had to watch, and the end of it was Tearjerker City. So yeah, but The Expanse, that came on 5 or 6 years ago, and we watched and we're like, I guess maybe this and that, but I guess. I mean, but yeah. You two just were like, just not so much, huh?
Yeah, I like Thomas Jane. Like I think he's a good actor or whatnot.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. Yeah. It was just like so much going on. I'm like, and I'm like, can I watch something else right now? Yeah, right. Maybe I can. So
exactly.
It's a slow burn. If you do want to give it a try, I'd say watch at least the first 5 episodes. After that, then I say if it doesn't grab you after 5 episodes, but with any type of long arc, to say I watched for 2 episodes, I'm like, but you probably haven't even met all the characters yet.
This from the man who very famously watches one episode of things. We call it Todd a show. Watch one episode and say, I think I can figure out how the rest of the series goes. We turned it into a segment on this show, for God's sakes. Todd has seen one episode of everything that has ever been made.
Probably.
Oh my God!
But at least I try a taste and I find something new. I love it. So that's what I love about it. I love to try new things and see what engages me. Like, that was a great show.
I like it.
Excellent. Well, Chris, not everybody's perfect. So you've come down a little bit in my book.
Nobody's nerfect in Australia. Okay, I'm taking over. Just today, the much anticipated Walking Dead spinoff, Dead City, debuted on AMC. We have AMC Plus, which we get through Amazon Prime. We have a bundle of AMC Plus and Stars, of which Outlander came back this week. I'm not going to talk about that. Todd can't sit through listening to me talk about Outlander. But this was pretty exciting. So we have jumped forward maybe 5 or 6 years past the series finale of the core Walking Dead show. Maggie is one of our core characters. She has she's a widower who has a son named Herschel, who was 7 or 8 when the show ended. He is now a sassy teenager, so we know that some time has passed by. But the show starts up with Maggie on a rocky embankment looking through a spyglass across the river to Manhattan and just and seeing a mass of walkers walking along basically what's the West Side Highway. So things are not going to be great. As we jump into the series, obviously we take a step back. We find out that Maggie years later is still running Hilltop, but there is a raider who goes by the name of the Croat or the Croatian, who used to be part of Negan's crew. The survivors back in the day. And the Croat had been raiding Hilltop, and his ultimatum was, have all my stuff, and to prove you I'm serious, I'm taking a hostage, and he takes Herschel back with him to his base of operations on the island of Manhattan. So Maggie, realizing that this dude used to be a savior.
So wait, where's Hilltop? Isn't that Virginia?
Yeah, they're all in Virginia. All of the
that's a long haul to go from Virginia to New York.
Well,
That's
you know what, Todd?
What kind of telescope was that?
No traffic.
Because Chris, you're out east.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess there's no traffic on. I guess there's no traffic now.
All you do is you got to get around all the wrecked cars and dead people. But yeah, she sets out to find Negan. He's holed up in he's basically living on the road in every hidey hole, this and that. You get a guest appearance from Michelle Hurd, who is Raffi on Star Trek Picard. And yeah, basically she says, you know what? I hate your guts, because obviously he's responsible for the death of Herschel's father, young Herschel's father, Glenn, who is from the original series, who was Maggie's husband. But the two of them have to pair up. And meanwhile, the two of them end up getting chased by basically law enforcement marshals from one of the New Babylon, which is another one of the regional republics. So yeah, this was the first episode of, I think, 6. This is a limited series, but I was sucked in right away. Actually, also speaking of The Walking Dead, the final episode of Fear the Walking Dead aired this week. And that's ending a series that started, I think, in 2015, which I've talked about a lot on this series. So that's over now, but this is starting. This is Dead City, where obviously we've talked about it before that we're getting a spinoff focusing on Daryl Dixon in France for some reason. And then the one that I would say we're all really excited about is the spinoff that picks up with Rick Grimes and Michonne, which is going to be at an undisclosed time. But yeah, Todd, I know you're a Walking Dead guy. Tune in. You're going to enjoy this one. I thought it was good.
So Charlie, I'll be honest, I don't know where the relationships ended with all these people, but I had heard people are complaining because they're like, all the progress we made with Negan, they said it kind of essentially fell apart, and now it's just like,
well, but at the end,
her hating it, because I thought he got back together again.
No, she forgave him to the point that she didn't kill him, but then he left on his own. And again, this is picking up years later. So he's been on the run and blah, blah, blah. And, I'm not going to give away too many, kind of plot wise what's going on, but tune in. I think it's great. Again, the thing that makes The Walking Dead at all interested is not the friggin' zombies walking around. It's the relationships between the people and all this kind of stuff.
Makes the show cheaper when you don't have to have the zombies.
Exactly. when you can just CGI them in. So, but anyway, I enjoyed it. And I would recommend checking it out. It's there, as I said, for most of us who don't do cable, it's there on AMC Plus. So, all right. So we are 3 or 4 weeks away from Mission Impossible number 7, which I was like, I figured there was more of them, but I've had a famously complicated relationship with my feelings about Tom Cruise. I've traditionally hated his guts, but especially after last summer's Top Gun Maverick, I've come to really appreciate the guy is good at what he does. Even if he is an authentic wacko out in the real world, when he is on screen and what he brings to a role of something that he does is very impressive. I mean, we were all, Todd, you and I, and certainly John and some of the other contributors to our show, loved Top Gun Maverick. Thought it was absolutely great. It absolutely deserved all its success. So anyway, my wife April has always loved the Mission Impossible movies. We're like, oh, we ought to watch them all. And so maybe like a month ago, we watched the first one, which I've seen many, many times from back in 1996. That's how long the series has been going on. But we watched the second one, which I came to realize I'd never seen. John Woo came out in the year 2000. Wow, it was bad. Oh my God. And our friend John Sear, who was our other founding member of Secret Friends, is also rewatching them. And so I watched it, and he and I were talking. And he was like, yeah, I watched it. And I don't know that I watched it, but what a piece of crap. Just
it's that's the one we thought would kill the series, to be honest.
Well,
so many faces coming off, slow,
and it was just
John Woo should not make like Western sequels.
And it was just it was it was all the slow mo. It's like when Tom Cruise is on the gun and he whips the gun around to shoot somebody. They do 5 takes of it continuously of him going whoom, 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 and then meow, and all the terrible interstitial music. Thandie Newton is in it. She's young and gorgeous, and I just absolutely adore her. But Doug Ray Scott. You know what I read is that he was set to portray Wolverine in X-Men, the 2000 movie. Yeah. He was injured in the motorcycle sequence of this, and he had to drop out because of that. That's why he didn't become Wolverine. He didn't drop out because he wanted to. He dropped out because he couldn't go and do the job because he was hurt. Wow. That sucks.
Did this one have the Limp Bizkit version?
Yep.
Of the song?
Did it really?
Now you know why I want to hate me. Because
that was it.
I missed that.
That also tells you the quality of it.
I mean, and again, it was right, Todd. We were talking earlier today about the early 2000s, when 3D came back, and they had one of these in the beginning when Tom Cruise is on vacation. He's climbing over the rocks at Moab State Park in Utah, and then he throws his sunglasses, and it was like boom, they explode. But it was oh my god, it was just anything of that time that they could have crammed into this movie. They found a way to do it. It was unbelievable. Now, that being said, we've subsequently watched 3, 4, and then we started 5 right before I came down here. They're all great. I actually, the J.J. Abrams did the third one. If you're a fan of J.J., you enjoyed that, which I did. And then again, I've said it before, these movies all tends to kind of transmogrify. You can't really say, oh, it's this, like we were watching the fourth one. I'm like, I remember there's a sequence where they're in a circular parking garage and he has to drive a car off the edge of a parking garage and it drops 100 meters, which Simon Pegg, who is Benji, one of the characters, makes mention of. And then in the 5th movie, there's a scene where Tom is hanging on the side of a plane as it takes off. And that was very famous in the trailer. They're all very enjoyable. Todd and I are part of a summer movie wager. I've bet very heavily on the fact that this movie number 7 will do well. So I'm trying to do what I can to support it as much as possible. But yeah, they're enjoyable. And again, Tom Cruise, for as much in the real world as he's just kind of a whack-a-nut, I really do have a lot of appreciation for kind of what he does. So I'm enjoying these films. It's a fun rewatch.
Yeah, the fourth film Brad Bird did. He was the guy behind the Incredible.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, I mean they've hired really good directors. I think that's really where it came up. And I finally saw the latest one when I was
6,
on the plane to Europe, and I know a lot of people like that because Henry Cavill.
Oh yeah,
like
the fight
just. Yep. That movie just did nothing for me. I feel like, man, we're in the 6th movie now. It felt a little dead to me. Yeah. So I worry that this series is kind of like,
this is, they've tagged 7 and 8 as being a basically a bookend of the series. It's going to be over.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, if the movie does dramatically well, could there be more of him? I hope not. It would be great for something to go out on top. It's always great when
I don't know how he's going to keep being able to do this. Like, I mean, if this movie comes out here, maybe the next one comes out in 2 to 3 years?
Unless they were doing a simultaneous filming or something. I don't know if there's a date on the books, but could be. But yeah, I agree with you. I'm enjoying the 5th one so far. It introduced Rebecca Ferguson into the mix, and she's a great part. She's an MI6 agent. But yeah, I just remember, Henry Cavill. It was Mustache Gate. He had the mustache for that movie, and that's what threw off. That's what threw off. Was it BVS?
It brought down the DCU as we know it.
It destroyed all with the mustache. So anyway, all right, Todd. Real quickly, this would be one you and I talk about. But tip us off.
Yeah. So, Chris, I would say I've always made this recommendation. If you've failed to get into Star Trek before, the best way to get into Star Trek now is the newest show.
Yes.
It's only 10 episodes long. Strange New Worlds was probably one of the best first seasons of any show. Great. You don't have to know any of the other characters or history or anything else, except this is essentially the first entry chronologically for a Star Trek series, which is great. So predates Kirk. Spock is involved, but Exactly. But you don't have to worry about that. All the characters, you're seeing them from a fresh lens, which I think is great. There's new characters and there's literally lots of adventure, which is great. Charlie, I think, has already mentioned this, that he has gotten screeners from Paramount Plus due to our friend of the show, Cool Kurt, who's helped out Charlie with that. So Charlie has already seen 6 of these, so he doesn't get to say much more than that because he may spoil himself or soil himself. I'm not sure which.
I did. It's that good. It is that good.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So season 2 just kicked off. They're only doing weekly episodes, so you have Paramount Plus, so it might be a good way to you just to watch the first episode, see what you think. It's fun because they're standalone episodes, which is the great part. So it's not like they're like, it's like I watch 10 to get the whole story. They do build. And they have great character moments, which is great. This episode was just a lot of fun. I think they've rectified the new age of Trek, as we would call it, with the Klingons.
Oh,
I think they finally
one.
said, because Discovery, they tried to bring in essentially a new area where Klingons are from that came and they look different than we're used to. It didn't go over with anybody. Nobody liked the design. It was weird.
Yeah, it was
they
tough.
kind of brought back.
Right.
And it's funny because Charlie could tell you a whole story, and I won't give it the whole story, but essentially when Klingons were first introduced in the original series, we saw one group, they looked like a really bad like Asian stereotype.
It was white guy. It was basically white actors painted a dull brown with
weird eyebrows,
and basically a Fu Manchu mustache. Yeah,
it's bad look. Bad look, and they were just known to be like the barbarian race. And this, they're more classic, like you think of like Worf with the ridges and things like that. So they look like that. It's really cool. So they're in this episode. It's really just a fun episode. There's a distress signal. They have to go check it out. They kind of bend some rules along the way, and it's just a very entertaining episode. And they just nail it. And once again, they're diving deep. My only concern, Charlie, and you may have to just say it doesn't matter, and I don't think it does. Okay, but we feel like this Spock is so much more on a path when we first met him in the TOS, which I feel like if they just say it doesn't matter, that's fine with me. But it feels like, did he have like an emotional rinse then before he met Kirk? I mean, like on the Enterprise, because it's weird.
Yeah, no,
right?
he's very different. And then if you look at, and this continues to evolve as the season goes on, his relationship with Christine Chappell, who's and she's a civilian nurse at this point. And for a character, she goes off. In one of the very early episodes of TOS, you find out that she was engaged and the guy disappeared. And then in that episode, she runs back. So she is going to leave, or she's going to, part company with Spock, but there's always such a will they won't they kind of romantic tension between those two characters in TOS that this is obviously headed towards, without betraying anything that happens in the next 6 episodes. It's something happens at some point that they end their friendship kind of breaks apart. They're not as close.
Okay.
Something is coming. Yeah,
maybe Spock gets an emotional block or something. Yeah. Maybe that's how they explain. If they want to explain it
with Vulcans, and again, Spock was not successful with this. The Vulcans, and it's explained. Vulcans have emotions that are really very much stronger than human emotions. Vulcans are a passionate, physically powerful race. They have certain limited psychic abilities, but they are very forceful and powerful, and their emotions are savage and dangerous, which is why they repress them. When a Vulcan truly needs to purge their emotions as much as possible, they go through a ritual known as the Colonar. Spock attempts this. Todd, remember?
A colonoscopy?
Not a colonoscopy.
I guess that'd do it for you.
Todd, you remember when we watched Star Trek The Motion Picture, that was the ritual that Spock failed to complete. But it doesn't mean that something doesn't happen between Stranger Worlds and TOS where he has because when we first meet him, he's pals with Kirk, but he's very Vulcan. You don't see his emotions very often. And that changes a little bit, not only as TOS goes on, but into the movies and everything too. So, but it takes long. But at this point, he's really dabbling with his I'm having strong feelings about Chapel, but he's engaged to a woman. And, is that going to come to a head? What's that going to look like? So,
and he's playing a lute. I mean,
it's basically it's the Vulcan mandolin, which is featured in he played it with the space hippies in the season 3 of TOS.
So don't let that scare you away. But it is there is a couple characters. Obviously, Kirk has shown up. He will have more appearance, and then Spock, of course. Those are like the heritage characters. We've also got
Uhura,
exactly.
Well, Pike and Number One are also technically heritage characters as well. But anyway, and Chapel and M'Benga. So really, most of them are heritage characters.
Exactly. But like I said, this is the first time you're really meeting or experiencing them. So there's don't have to worry about any of that baggage. Sure, but there's baggage in the future. It's like future baggage. Baggage is arriving in Atlanta.
Yeah, exactly.
If you decide to stick around, and I would not recommend anyone, unless they were curious to watch old Star Trek, like TOS.
I would,
it's a hard
but
watch.
I would, Chris, I would highly recommend simply because you already have Paramount Plus. First season was 10 episodes. Watch the first couple, see how it grabs you. You may find yourself transformed by it. I have no idea, but anyway, yes, Paramount and Viacom, very good friend of the show. We're very grateful for the respect that they show us. I'm not wearing a badge tonight as I do on most shows because I'm wearing my Secret Friends Unite Network tee, which is available from Redbubble and from TeePublic. Wink, 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 wink. Find it in the show notes. But anyway, Todd, that's it for the Geek Easy. It's time to skip out on our tabs because I know they spit in our drinks. They don't treat us very good here. But it's time to get down to the Thunderdome. I'm getting out that Air Qantas app. Got to get that flight to get down to the Tina hologram and the mutants, which sounds like Gem and the Holograms, but it's not. And we're going to be talking about this week's big movie, that's The Flash. Let's go.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome!
Thank you, Tina. The mutants have been gathered for a topic or game to be entertained. And this week, my goodness, we're talking about The Flash. This movie is a DC Warner Brothers release. Budget was $220 million. The director was Andy
Muschietti,
who we just talked about, getting The Bold and the Brave. We have Christina Hodson as the screenplay writer, and Joby Harold is the screen story by, which I don't know what the difference is between them. Big cast in this, so I won't go through the list, but there are some surprises that we'll get in at the end of the show when we get into some of the Easter eggs and such. There are spoilers, folks, so just be warned that until you've seen it, come back once you have, and then you'll get to enjoy the whole thing. If you are not going to watch this and you don't care about spoilers, enjoy the show. So with that, I will tell the plot of this movie. Worlds collide in The Flash when Barry Allen uses his superpowers to travel back in time in order to change the events of the past. But when his attempt to save his family inadvertently alters the future, Barry becomes trapped in reality in which General Zod has returned, threatening annihilation, and there are no superheroes to turn to. That is, unless Barry can coax a very different Batman out of retirement and rescue an imprisoned Kryptonian, albeit not the one he's looking for. Ultimately, to save the world that he is in and return to the future that he knows, Barry's only hope is to race for his life, but will making the ultimate sacrifice be enough to reset the universe and maybe run a little bit backwards on a treadmill?
He does. You know what he does? It's the Tom Cruise run.
It does. It is a little bit weird. He does
he does weirder
like
than
a
that.
wind up. Puts his hand like this next to his nose, like Santa Claus.
This thing. He's like swimming.
It's like speed skating, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So there we go. So if you're in for the ride, we are ready to go.
Okay.
So this, when we do our movie review discussion, it's really kind of more about, what did we like about this?
Right.
What'd you think? Just back and forth talking about kind of this movie as a whole. It's not to give you a rundown of every plot point, but if anyone, we as we go through this, if anyone needs a reminder of something that happened, just because a lot happened in this movie, timelines are clunky and quirky.
I know.
We can always. I
know. April fell asleep at least once, but it's not because it was boring. No, not at all. I was absolutely terrified going into this movie, and I was, April and I we were out walking today, and I said, I think what I'm going to talk about on the show is that I liken this movie's kind of cool, kind of cold reception because they're pulling out maybe 72K for their 72 million for their 4-day rollout, which is vastly below what they were hoping, and it's even under what Black Adam did, which is brutal because Black Adam was trash. I did not care for that in any way, shape, or form. But again, that's my opinion. It's just my opinion. I liken it to, and I always find a way to bring something back to Star Trek. I liken it to Star Trek Enterprise. Here was a show came out in 2001 after 12 years of Star Trek following kind of a formula through 3 different shows that I think people were just kind of like, yeah, okay, it's another ship, it's another crew, they're doing another thing. They had a slow as hell first season. The second season was barely any better. They got to the third season where they developed a season-long arc, which was genuinely pretty interesting. And they hit their stride at the beginning of the fourth season. New showrunner, different direction, and it was too little too late. And the show got canceled at the end of season 4, which was the first Star Trek show to be canceled in 40 years.
Just give it 4 seasons, folks. Yeah. Stick with us.
Yeah, exactly. Where, Star Trek shows in the modern era had run 7 years. So I feel like, this incarnation of DCU has been around for 10 years, since 2013, The Man of Steel. It's a movie that nobody in the world but Todd and I liked. It found out, everybody tends to hate on it. But we immediately jumped into BVS. Most people hate it. Jumped into the Justice League. Most people hate it. We got Wonder Woman. It was okay. It got a sequel. Complete garbage.
Harley Quinn and the Immaculate Conception.
Yeah, not
whatever
super,
it's called.
Not super great. We got Aquaman, kind of forgettable in my opinion. We got Shazam, not bad, but not enough. So and then we get all the way to Black Adam, which is just total trash in my opinion. And I just feel like by the time we get to this film,
but don't be offended, folks.
Please. That's why. Yes, which I said. No offense. I say it with respect. We get to.
I'm glad you if you enjoyed it. I'm glad you did.
Well, what I was going to say was I enjoyed this film very much. I feel like it should get a more fair shake. But again, just like with Enterprise, by the time they maybe hit a stride to turn it around, people had given up. And I think that's why this movie is not, because people saw Black Adam and they said, screw this. We're done. We're done. And plus with the announcement that, James Gunn and the other guy, whose name I tend to ignore, are taking over, everything's going to be reset. Maybe people are just like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to get it on Max.
I'll wait till it comes back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which, that's Todd, you and I have talked about, that's the big problem with Disney Plus. People are just like, yeah, you know what? It's going to be on my, like with Pixar. Elemental also came out this week, completely tanked. 12 million. Really not good. Because people are just like, yeah, you know what? Taking all the kids to the theater is a hassle, and I got to buy them popcorn, and I got to blah, blah, blah. If I wait 3 weeks, it'll be on Disney Plus, because if the movie fails, it's that much faster that it'll get there. You know what I mean? So yeah, I liked this film. I think it's a victim of it's a victim of being a product of its own environment. You know what I mean? I think it could have done a lot better if what preceded it wasn't so bad. I think that's the biggest problem.
Yeah. It's a tough nut to crack. So, Chris, what was your overall take on The Flash?
I think Tom Cruise should keep his opinions to himself and not leak whatever he's saying.
Oh yeah, he gushed all over this one, didn't he?
He did, and I think the problem was it hyped the movie a bit more up for me than it needed.
Yeah,
and yeah, I mean, even James Gunn was like, "This is like one of the best superhero movies he's seen," and I was like, "Was it? I don't know. It was good. Yeah. I enjoyed my time with it." But I think they really tried to hit the the nostalgia, the cameos and stuff like that. Like, oh yeah, here you
fun
go.
Cameos, really poor VFX, which I've been reading articles about. It's like they just, somebody took a day off, and it was like, what are they doing with the representations of Chris Reeve and Helen Slater?
Have something to address. I actually have something to address that VFX thing, so we can say, because I do think it's very. Regardless of what it is, it was very jarring to a lot of people. I don't deny that. But it is Apollo X. But yeah, I mean, to your point. So, and Chris, I mean, and to your point, and we're going to get to the cameos, but did the cameos do it for you? Because I know some people, that is kind of like the main draw. When everyone saw Michael Keaton, like, oh my God, I want to see it. Was that enough for you? Or did you care? Did it really play into your enjoyment?
I mean, I think that was one of the reasons why I went to go see it in theaters, was to see, Michael Keaton don the mask again. Right. So that was kind of cool.
And you think it would be enough to have saved things, but it just it didn't pan out.
No, and I think the other thing was like they said it was going to be based on Flashpoint, so I was like, okay, cool. I liked that.
Sure.
I mean, sure. I like the DC animated version of Flashpoint.
Oh, absolutely. They do so good with the animated stuff. It's wild.
So good. So good. Yeah. And so So yeah, I was excited just to see what they were going to do, and the whole thing, how James Gunn was saying, like this resets the universe.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so what are they going to do? Like, what is this going to tie in, or is this going to be like a clean cut? Like, that's the curiosity of that got me to go to the theaters to see it. But like, but then there's all like the thing that really upset me. I'm sure you're going to talk about this more, but like the fact that this movie's been in production for so long, and this is the kind of VFX that came out from it.
You're right.
Like,
with all the time, and because of all the kind, Ezra Miller is a very controversial individual.
Yep.
He was involved in a lot of this, a lot of that. C'est la vie. But yeah, you're right. Yeah. With all of this time, and then COVID, and this thing and that thing, and blah blah blah. Discovery, taking over Warner Brothers, and it's pushing things around. Yeah. Why didn't somebody? And again, with a budget of, Todd, would you put it at the top 220?
220.
I mean, that is just like, where did the rest of the money go? When you get Chris Reeves, Helen Slater, a great deep cut with the 1996 Kevin Smith Superman and Nicolas Cage. Wow. Yeah. But they all look like really poor, like early 2000 CGI. It looked like Beowulf or the Scorpion King.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
No. Maybe
and like,
even worse King. was the time bubble, like, when he's in that arena, like that whole thing would look like, when he was just looking at his own past, was just didn't look great.
It's just trash.
Yeah.
It was rough.
And I guess we'll address the special effects in the room as we talk about. Yes. So what we're referencing is obviously the Corona bubble. When Barry is running, we see very CGI versions of everybody in the film based on the timing he saw them in, plus then versions of the characters at the end of the movie when we see all the timelines coming through in different versions of those characters. Some of them had to be recreated, were not original. So like George Reeves, Christopher Reeve, some of these people are not alive anymore. And a lot of these things were actually things they never did. So totally get it. Kind of weird. Right. But they said, so the director is basically saying this was a choice. And Barbara, who is his sister, the producer, said, he goes, the idea, of course, is that we're in the perspective of the Flash. Everything is distorted in terms of lights and texture. We enter this water world, as they say, which is basically being in Barry's point of view. It was part of the design, so it looks weird and that was intended. So they said that was a creative choice, because I'll be honest, if they had the money, they would have spent it to make it look as good as possible. I don't think anybody looks and go like, yeah, that's we could do that. I'm like, that's cheap. I mean, that's a creative vision.
Yeah, right.
I don't think you do something like that unless you mean to, because that doesn't pass the sniff test anymore. That is not like the Henry Cavill mustache, especially when they've been burned by that, Charlie. I just don't think it was something where they said, yeah, that looks good. No, I think people will overlook that.
Yeah, right.
No,
yeah.
I think if it was his choice, it was his choice. Kind of like Zack Snyder wanted to do that weird reverse letterbox thing. It was his choice. He didn't have to. He could do a thing and make it not black and white. So as it was, I get it. I didn't like that aesthetic. But if he said it was, then I'm just going to like, okay, it is. That's not a great choice. I didn't agree with it either.
Right. I mean, even the Flash suit, I didn't think looked great either.
I think it was better, because you remember it was better when you saw him, but it was more of a sleek look. It was a little bit more in line with probably what's the most popularized version of it in the modern age, which is what you saw on the CW with Grant Gustin.
Before he changed it to that weird, like, loose suit.
Oh, did he?
He changed his suit late in the game. Horrible looking suit.
Yeah.
It looked bad. I don't know why they changed it.
This movie really benefited from the kind of Tom Holland approach to Spider-Man, where they didn't need to belabor his origin again. Like, well, in the case of Spider-Man, it's like, all right, Uncle Ben died, blah, blah. We've seen it 40 times on screen. But we know that, that was really explored in the television show, which people have seen. Right. And then, you assume your audience is savvy enough to understand, okay, well, this is two different versions of the same character. But it was really not relevant when we met him when we saw the clips of him in BVS. Then we met him obviously in the Justice League. How he got it, we just knew that he got his powers, and we just didn't really need to belabor the point.
And we saw him get his powers multiple times in this movie.
Right, exactly. And it became relevant to the story in this to have little twists and turns around, and that was totally fine. Yeah. But yeah, I found this incredibly enjoyable. And I find it to be unfortunate that it falls into the Star Trek Enterprise trap. It's, you dredged up so much bad will in the last 10 years that people are just turning away. People who are in the know are just like, this is what I said to April. I said, if John Q movie viewer went and saw Black Adam, was like, oh, it's The Rock and great, and it was a piece of crap, people are like, oh, another movie from DC, I'm not going. And that's where we're at.
Yeah, and the hard part is too, the last time we saw the Flash in a film was 2017, I believe, in the Justice League. Right. That's a long gap to bring out a hero and say, oh, are you that excited? But I think a lot of people have just forgotten about it. So it becomes a scenario of like, you don't have past success with other movies. You bring a character in that, we saw him in the Justice League. We didn't really care about him. He didn't grab onto anybody. He wasn't the smash hit star. Right. And then you bring him out in a movie. Are we really expecting it was going to be like a huge success, except for Tom Cruise willing it to an existence? I mean, that's the thing. And yes, the buzz, Chris, I think, everything coming out. So lowered expectations is always the best expectation to have, because guess what? Then you don't have to feel like you're betrayed by your own brain playing tricks. Because I was starting to hear some like negatives and this thing already. I'm like, oh crap, is this gonna be some flim flam on? Right. Is it really a lie? Is this going to be a lie? But I enjoyed myself quite a bit in this movie. Yeah. I had a lot of smiles on my face. It made me feel enjoyable. And I thought maybe General Zod got kind of a better take maybe than he deserved. We got a new take on Superman, which I really found enjoyable and different. Yeah. True. Some people didn't like Ben Affleck's costume. We got kind of a very superfluous Wonder Woman cameo. But let me tell you, that opening sequence, I was so enjoying myself. So fun. Yeah. I think, because we've got something, obviously, I think the premier one is from Quicksilver, Days of Future Past. Using those powers was great. Yeah. I thought it was poorly brought back and just a pale, trying to recreate, so awesome in this, in
Days of Future Past.
What movie was that?
Phoenix, or?
No, the second movie where they did the same.
Oh, Dark Phoenix? No, it was Apocalypse.
Oh, yes.
Essentially just going back to you can't do
with the X-Mansion and going through and rescuing everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought this was another solid attempt to do something cool. I thought it was entertaining because how the hell is he going to do this? It was neat. And the fact that he went for the food first before the kids made me laugh. I'm like, this is great. We're having fun. Baby in a microwave, dog. And then they replay that at the end.
Baby in a microwave. Yeah. Yep.
The dog's point of view was great. I thought it was just a blast. This movie delivered on a level that made me happy, but I could see other people be like, it's just another DC movie.
Yeah, right. Well, it was just
I can wait for it.
I just felt like it was bad will, and people just saying, I saw Black Adam and I was like, this sucks. Or I saw Shazam.
Shazam too.
Shazam is kind of
didn't do anything.
Yeah, exactly. So this is, and then what, we have Blue Beetle coming out. That's going to tank. Aquaman. No, I mean, it is.
I don't know. I don't know. It's just that's a very low profile movie.
I just feel like
he's never been anything. I think
it's a downward trajectory. And then by the time we get to Aquaman,
but I don't think people attach that to anything else though.
Yeah.
Because it's not Shazam where
it's supposed to be the start of DCU, right? With that.
No, we're still.
No, it's a hangover.
Yeah, everything ends at Aquaman. So yeah.
But what's his name said? It's not tied into anything though. It's not tied to anything else. It's not. It's not. It's not like.
But again, I don't think that John Q moviegoer really cares, because right now they didn't go see Flash because they didn't like Black Adam. Let's just say in this example. To the average people who aren't like us, people who don't read the trades and keep up on stuff and were really tied in, people who just went and saw a bad movie with DC Comics attached to it, don't want to go see another one. And they didn't go see this, and they're not going to go see Blue Beetle, and they might not go see Aquaman.
I don't know. I think sometimes I think you just have a good time. Like Shazam did very well. The first one,
right, but not this one.
But then they had Shazam like 5 years between sequels. Right. I'm like, now you're delayed. So I think this could be different as a standalone movie. I bet the budget's pretty low, and I think it becomes it's the first Latino.
Well, you know what, Todd,
I think it plays very well.
You didn't put it in your top 10, did you?
Well, no, because I'm not dumb. I think because I think that type of movie at making like $100 million could be a huge success for them because
I agree. Like, you know what?
Who's ever heard of Blue Beetle?
Yeah, well, we will find. You're right. It could be very niche, and we will find out. You don't know.
Do a movie bet on that one, Charlie. We have to bet to see where it does. At the box office.
All right, I'd be willing.
Yeah.
All right, well, cool.
Okay.
Well, Todd, what else we got here? We're going to start to wind this up.
So I mean, I just give you the fun facts and Easter eggs really quick. We can hit some of these unless you want to hit anything else. But I mean, I think we've kind of said this movie is not more than you could add to it or take away from it. It is what it is, and you either enjoyed it or you didn't. Chris, you have a comment?
I do. Well, I had a question for both of you.
Yeah.
Now, watching this movie, are you guys potentially content that this director is going to do Brave and the Bold?
With the perceived lowered box office of this, I'm not sure. But again, it's a matter of, well, you know what? He still did something, and we got what's the better, maybe he's cheap, so we can afford him, and maybe this is not enough to get him blacklisted because it wasn't that much of a failure. Elemental was that much of a failure, over on the Pixar. So whoever directed Elemental over at Pixar, I think that guy's toast. I think Muschietti will probably move forward and still.
And he's got a solid pass with it,
right.
And he's got a new series coming out with Derry. So I think by the time Batman the Brave and Bold comes out,
this will be,
and you do have a new Batman.
Yeah.
Well,
and
I just meant from you guys watching The Flash.
Oh,
you think he's
sure. Yeah, like I said, I found this very enjoyable. It hit the fun beats. Love that opening sequence. Like you said, baby in a microwave and the dog and everything. It was, unfortunately, not baby.
That is not the title of this episode.
This is not this is not Flash and the baby in the microwave. But I think that I think he'll get the gig. I think he did a competent job in delivering this movie. Less the CGI stuff, which is really the anchor that's dragging it along. But I mean, in April and I, we were talking about this with each other, and then the guy who was sitting in the next seat over before the movie started. All of us in Gen X who are part of this life, summer of 1989, went to go see Michael Keaton as Batman. I mean, come on. I saw it not only at home. Chris, I live in Michigan, but I was visiting my uncle in San Francisco. I went to go see it there. I sat in because the theater was so packed. I was 13 that summer. The theater was so packed. The last seat I got was in the very front row, and this was in the years before recliners. So I was just tilted all the way back, watching it like it was IMAX. It was unbelievable. It was absolutely unbelievable. So, and again, my wife, who is not a comic book reader, adored this film, because she and I are the same age, adored this film at age 13. I mean, Michael Keaton as Batman is a very, I have my friend Joffrey, who's part of our Star Trek fan club, huge Batman guy. And it was a defining moment for him and his passion. And he's a martial arts instructor. Guided him in that way. You know what I mean? So that was great. But again, that was not enough to save this film and to really deliver. I think it had too much going against it headed in.
It's got a lot of baggage.
Yeah.
And even if the people, paid no attention to the lead actors' antics and those past history, it's just something at all. Though I thought he did a fantastic job in the role. And actually, the two versions of himself, I don't know how they pulled it off because that's amazing. To have the two of them there, nothing looked fake, and I've not seen. I just give them kudos for pulling that part off because that could have gone horribly wrong as well. And and I would say, Chris, just to wrap this up, James Gunn, I think, will be the difference maker for DC that they've never had. They've never had a Kevin Feige. They had named the executive of the month that's come in and said, we're going to do this. We're going to have no cohesion. There's going to be no quality control. We're not going to question directors for their choices. And it is what it is. So I'm I think because of that, also the way he handled the different Batmans, Ben Affleck's Batman was kind of fun. And then I thought Michael Keaton was great. So to give him a brand new Batman with a relationship with a character people have never seen, which is Damian Wayne, Robin. I think it could be great. But once again, don't know. A lot will happen. And this is going to come out probably 2026, 2027. So I think people will have long forgotten. Investing with Flash, it's probably going to be highly forgettable.
Lots of time to let go. Okay, so shall we do the typical rating on 1 to 10?
Well, I was just going to give you some Easter eggs real quick.
All right.
So I think think the big one at the end, George Clooney is Batman.
Oh, wonderful. That was great. And it just Barry with his mouth agape, and then he had lost a tooth earlier in the film and glued it back in, and that was the moment it fell out. That was great. Yep. That was good.
Yep. The bat suits, we got a bat suit that very much looked like the classic 70s, light blue, some different versions. Very, very fun. We got that little bag of joking from like the Joker that Barry found in the Batmobile, which I thought was fun. Yeah. Let's see. The Batmobile, obviously, we go over there. There's lots of nods there. Nick Cage, we talked about that. The fact that actually happened, that's amazing. And someone had to be paying attention to things that the lore and the stories. That was just a lot of fun. Yeah. I think I enjoyed the multiverse views of, George Reeves, Adam West. I thought that was kind of cool and fun.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then other than that, there were, it was pretty much, I would say, and we'll get to the very end, but the end credit scene, once again felt like a wet fart in the night. It didn't define anything. This movie didn't say constructively where this is the end or it's not. Right. And it was just Jason Momoa and him getting drunk at a bar and he's sleeping, and that's the end of the movie.
Right. It was like, Todd, you know what that reminds me of? The end of Wing Commander.
Oh yeah. Cut for time. Ran out of budget.
Yeah, we're done. Yep.
So any of those Easter eggs stand out to you guys? Like your favorite part of that?
100% the bat suits, because I brought it up on Twitter because you had it in the side screen. That was great. Yeah, anything anything kind of related back to what he was pulling off in this. Let's see. Yeah, anything tying back to Batman 89 was the Nicholson. Nick Cage Superman, I've already talked about that. But yeah, Chris Reeves, Helen Slater, George Reeves, and the Adam West was very, very brief. But that was wonderful. I just wish they could have spent some of that $220 on polishing off that VFX. That was really, really hurt things, but still the sequence found a way to pull it through regardless. So yeah, most def.
Yeah. I am curious to see where Aquaman goes, because we do have Blue Beetle, but that's not tied to anything. So I don't think that really matters. If it works, it'll bring him in. If it doesn't, they'll leave him behind. And then Aquaman, I don't know what that's going to be about. I've heard rumors that it's not very good. The first movie, I enjoyed, but I thought it was like an adventure movie more than a great superhero movie.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Let's wrap it up. Ratings from 1 to 10. Speed forces. I don't know. Come on, give me something here. I don't know. What 1 to 10? 1 to 10. Bat suits.
Peanut butter and raisin sandwiches that the barista can't make very fast.
There you go. All right. I'm going to give this one out of that 1 to 10. This is 7.5 for me. I found it pretty damn enjoyable, even with the fact that it was too little, too late. I felt it made its effort. I felt it made me smile. I felt Easter Egg City was greatly justifiable. And Michael Keaton as Batman, I don't need anything else. Give me Michael Keaton as Batman. I don't care. And he still pulled it off. He looks like an older version of the actor. He's still in great shape. There's no way that some dude in his 70s would be doing flips and shit and fighting. But you know what? It's a comic book movie, and he used it to his advantage. It was good stuff.
Chris, what's your final rating?
I'll give it a solid 6. Just because. Yeah, I mean, again, it was great to see Michael Keaton. And I thought Ezra Miller did a good job as a Flash. I still think Grant Gustin's better than him overall.
Agreed.
But
that's
me.
I agree.
But yeah, like I just I don't know. I think, like I said, Tom Cruise just really, really did it in for me, unfortunately. But
another reason to question Tom Cruise's taste.
Tom Cruise's run.
Yeah,
exactly. Very, very good. For me, it's probably a 7. I enjoyed myself while I was there, but am I going to go back and think I really want to watch that again?
Yeah,
no. I think I got what I got out of this. Now, if this movie came out in 2002.
Oh, right. Yeah.
The best, that would have been one of the best. So maybe it was 2002 Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
So went back in time with Xenu and said,
it was the Minority Report Tom Cruise. But that, you know what? What you said about, this would have been a great superhero movie in 2005. That's what you said about Black Adam. And you're right. If we could turn the clock back to a time when fun. We just appreciated anything they threw at us. But yeah, the audiences post MCU and post, Infinity War and Endgame and all the Avengers films, the bar is so much higher, and DC is racing to catch up.
Ooh, yeah.
We've tasted caviar. We're not going back to spaghetti, folks.
No, right.
That's the name of the episode.
And I mean, like, I think that's the thing. The thing, of course, is like I just watched Across the Spider-Verse and Guardians 3.
Yeah,
like those are like they were just so much better.
Oh God,
yes.
So.
Absolutely. Yeah, context a lot, and I'm hoping that we can let this DCU die, the fandom,
let it rise again, and something
exactly.
Absolutely.
I'm excited.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see where this goes.
Awesome. Good deal.
Yes. Well, okay. Chris, thank you for being a guest. We loved having you on, man. So tell people where they can find you and your good stuff that you do.
Yes. So Charlie and Todd, thank you again for the invitation. This was awesome. Always a good time chatting with you guys. And you guys can find me on Twitter at TC1H1D. I got my podcast pretty much everywhere on most podcasting platforms. And it is, again, 1 hour, 1 decision. And we have our videos up on YouTube under Quit the Build, our friends over there. And I think that's it. Oh yeah, and I do Twitch every once in a while. So if you want to pop in there too, twitch.tv/1H1D. So
did you make $100 million deal, Chris?
Oh yeah, that was the news day. I saw a headline. I said to Todd, what does this mean? I just don't understand.
It means nothing at all. It's a gambling site.
Right.
Is running a streaming point to get kids into gambling.
Oh my God, that is terrific. All right, Todd, where do people find you out there?
They find me at T-Oxtra, where I'm talking about the world of video games, sports, and other things. And apparently, Charlie, you'll love this, discussing and arguing about whether Star Wars is science fiction or fantasy. And it made me laugh because it made me think of it's Fantacrap.
Well, yeah, Krampusy or Fantacrap. Yes, exactly.
Krampusy or Psy. It's just that's what I love about the nerd world.
Oh my God,
and people will just make it their life to be like, it's this. I'm like, whatever.
Okay, bro, enjoy.
That's what I'm up to.
Oh my God, and you can find me, of course, over on Twitter at the C3. Go ahead and spell it out. My wife April and I do run the USS Grand Petoskey, one of the largest chapters of Starfleet, the International Star Trek fan club in the world. We are based here in West Michigan, but I also actually run Region 13 for SFI, which is Michigan and Eastern Canada. If you're a Trekker in the sound of my voice, would like to meet other Trekkers in your neck of the woods, drop us a line at that website or any of our socials, and we will help you out. So friends, thank you as always for joining us. I'm going to tell you that sharing is caring, and to keep on trucking.
Be the hero, not the villain.
In a truck.
Want to go nuts? Let's get nuts.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow at Secret Friends U on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.